I love washing my face. I used to joke when I was trying to sell things at Lush, but it's absolutely true that exfoliation is like a hobby to me. I love shedding like a fucking snake. Like I want, one of our friends was talking about how she did this weird Korean foot mask that then all of her foot skin peeled off for like a week. And I was like, that's my jam.
That is my jam, but I just wish it all happened at once. Like, I would not like sloughing things off unexpectedly at length.
That's fair.
I mean, right? Especially your feet. Like, you gotta do shit with those.
I guess?
They have to hang out in bed with you.
Well,
and then you have to put them in shoes.
No, it's fine. I don't think that you're listen, we're all constantly shedding. That's what dust is. Dust is human skin.
Little mites. Those little skin mites.
Ooh, I don't know about those, but
You don't?
No, but I'm not surprised.
I mean, they're normal, right?
On
it's not
our
like
skin?
it's not
In
a
our
pet.
skin?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's not. Did you say it's not a pet? What did you just say?
It's not a pest.
Oh!
It's not a problem.
I can't adopt one.
Yeah, we have these little mites that look like fucking tardigrades that live all over us.
Oh, I'm so happy. That makes
They're
me happy.
microscopic.
I love a water bear.
Yeah.
Really? I've got tiny little water bears all over me.
Yeah, basically. They look like big trundly tardigrades crossed with like a flea. Because they've got like more shingles than
now you've lost me. No,
I
don't want that. I don't want the scaly bits.
They have shingly parts versus caterpillary parts.
Okay,
but
skin mites. I gotta look this up now.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, that's not cute at all. Are you kidding me?
Well,
girl. Ew. Also, yikes. Oh, I don't like that at all. Ew. Oh no! Look at that guy. Look at the BuzzFeed one. No. Oh.
Its face. See, that's the tardigrade face.
That looks like a buddy. We could be buddies. He's a little hairier. He looks a little bit like one of the Charlie Brown characters that has all the hair sticking out and
like Pigpen?
Yeah.
It looks like Pigpen.
Yes, it looks like Pigpen. But it also looks like he's doing a little like a worrisome British man thing with his hands. His little like
Yes, he's fretting. Do you see the fucking
fretting? He's fretting. Do you scroll down, it says Mite Wiener.
It says, oh wait, they store all their poop in their bodies, and then when they die, they release a lifetime's worth of poop into your pores at once.
So I'm Lillian Bustle.
I'm Jen Ponton, and we and our hosted skin mites bring to you all the fucks. What's our podcast about, Lillian?
Ooh, our podcast is apparently about skin mites fucking on our faces.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
It's about when it's about that feeling when you realize you're out with a group of people and they ditched you.
Oh my god, completely.
It's about when something happens at a sleepover and everybody blames you for it and you're like, that wasn't me, but it doesn't matter because everyone decided that you did it anyway.
Oh no. Or the one time that you pretend that you know what everybody's talking about and that's the one time they call your bluff.
Oh, Jesus.
We didn't go into it in depth on this version. I feel like now I should tell all of you that one of the other feelings prominent in all the fucks is maybe thinking that you're recording for half an hour and then you're not.
That's how we roll. Sometimes my computer crashes. Sometimes
it's just always an adventure.
It is. But we told some stories that we want to bring to you. So I would like to toss it back over into Jen's court because you have a very important story to tell.
I do. I have an update on our secondary topic. The first one is stories from adolescence. The second one is spiders. Oh, Lillian. Oh, Lillian. I have I have told all of you about orb weavers before, but in case y'all forgot, orb weavers are a special little breed of spider. Little is not the correct word. They are big spiders. They're big, fancy, web-hangy spiders. They've got a big bulbous abdomen.
You've got a bulbous abdomen. What a stupid thing to say to me.
And they hang and they make these really beautiful webs. And if you are local and you've seen big fucking spiders hanging around like street lights or lights on your property, it's probably an orb weaver.
You said around but like the size of your thumbnail, right?
Yeah,
I would
bigger. The abdomen
that's like
is
a
about
nickel.
Yeah,
that's awful.
Yeah, they're big. They're big. They don't really fuck with people, which is nice.
Cool.
However, they start showing up in May, and they're usually gone by the time shit gets cold in November, and then you see them again in May. So I've seen a couple hanging around my porch, and I'm like, oh, hello, nice to see you again. Welcome back. Let's keep our distance, but this is fine.
God bless.
And I just keep my eye on it because I don't want it like falling into my dress or onto my hair or deciding that it wants to come like see what's up with me. No. Distance is our friend. Yep. And last night I witnessed a kill. So my orb weaver is doing a great job because last night I opened the door to let the dog out, and the porch light's on, and there my orb weaver is, big baby, and I'm like, oh, hello, good evening. And as I am acknowledging it, a small insect flies into its web and gets stuck, and it's like, bzz, bzz, and its web is reverberating, and all of a sudden, the spider gets like fucking bloodlust.
She was so hungry.
She was so hungry. I have never seen a spider get excited.
I don't like it.
I could deal with never seeing it ever again.
I'm imagining like a cartoon spider being like, ooh.
Hey, remember how unsettling that scene is when Aragog starts like panting?
Yep.
In the fucking woods, and like you can almost hear saliva
everything's
just
chittering and just
yeah, it was like watching that happen very quickly.
God.
So the spider, who normally hanging like the 8 legs are spread out the way that you usually see. Just think of like any vector art, image search spider on web. There you go. Well, all of the legs from their positions around it all of a sudden come together at the front like a fucking charging position.
What?
Yes.
I didn't even know they did that.
I did not either, and I wish I could unknow it. Oh, I'd give anything to unknow this.
No.
And then all of a sudden, you remember in Coraline when Coraline is trying to get away from the mother spider?
And other mother.
Other mother, right? And she's running, and as she's running, the web is getting disrupted, and other mother starts feeling the vibrations, like, trying to locate her by jangling the web back.
Twangy, like.
That's what this fucking spider starts doing with all of its legs. All of its legs. It starts like battering them together and thwapping on its web. And I watched this happen for a second or two as I'm like, what the fuck is about to? And all of a sudden, the spider, it scuttles in the most unsettling, jerky way. And you can tell it's just like foaming at the mouth.
Oh, no.
It scuttles towards this fucking bug. And I see something happen, and it takes the bug in all of its legs and brings it to its mouth.
All of its legs.
All of its legs.
Scoop.
And it happened. I mean, I've never seen this happen. I have seen orb weavers just ignore shit that flies into their webs. I'm like, why? I want to watch some shit here. Well, I don't think I'd ever like to see that again. It was so upsetting, and so I was so freaked out that I looked away for a couple seconds, and I'm like, bear, come on, let's go. Go on inside. And when I looked back up, both the insect and the spider were gone.
Oh, no.
And all I can think of is in It, where the giant spider paralyzes and then wraps up into cocoons all these dead bodies that
it's
are
so
for feeding later.
Upsetting. Oh.
Yes.
In The Hobbit, when all of the dwarves get spidered, except for Bilbo doesn't get spidered because he was off screwing around with Gollum, right? I forget why, but he comes back and he's like, it's the first time that he waves his dick around. He's like, I have this sword. Its name is Sting. And he like cuts everybody out of the things, and then the spider's like, Sting, no, I know that sword. Terrifying. Nightmares.
Terrifying.
Nightmares. Could have gone the other way. I suppose there's people who have a fetish for getting wrapped up in stuff, so.
Yeah, but ideally not then to be demolished by an 8-legged freak.
Somebody wants that.
Somebody wants that.
Somebody right now would pay so much money.
I shan't yuck their yum.
Listen, everybody has personal preferences. I'm just saying that you don't look past the marketable things. Like,
I would say though that there is a difference between the fantasy play and actually wishing that you were either small enough or a spider was big enough to eat you.
I don't know. People like vor. People.
But vor is pretend. If vor were actually possible, I bet a lot fewer people would like it. Oh, you mean I die at the end? I don't jizz everywhere, I die? Intrinsically, what your reptile lizard brain learns from being the child of an addict is, I can control what happens because what happens is always my fault.
Yes. Holy shit. Wow.
Mm-hmm. What happens is always my fault, which means I need to have a constant, vigilant, anxiety-ridden thermometer in every person's water glass.
Yep.
Because I need to know
baby,
what I'm doing to fuck this up. I need to know how I made them mad, how I made them sad, how I can make them happy, how I can fix it. And a lot of this then feeds, especially as a woman, into the natural conditioning to be a fixer, to be a caregiver of all different stripes. To be a Wendy. To be a Wendy. Yeah, it exacerbates that. If the natural feminine inclination if the conditioned feminine inclination is to do that, and then you're also super fucked up, and everything that has been taught to you is that all this rage and anger and shame gets thrown on you unless you know how to fix it.
Oh my God, the damaged people that you just attract. Because that's what you want to do. You want to collect fucking the island of misfit toys and hug and love them until they feel loved.
Because that's what love looks like.
Yes.
Fuck. No, it's not.
Nope, it is not.
It is not. Very concurrently with meeting someone like Gabby, who sought me out and who opened her arms and was like, your weird is delightful. Come hang out with me. Come check out my weird, blah, 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 blah.
Come check out my weird. I love that. I love it.
Concurrently, there was someone who I tried to keep close to me for a very long time, who, from jump, was an asshole. Was very much. It was like petting a cat backwards, and I was nothing.
Oh, no.
I was nothing but nice to her and enthusiastic, and unfortunately we had every single class together. And so I was like, well, and we had similar interests, as in we did some of the same extracurriculars. We were constantly in each other's orbits. And I would not let her, I for all those reasons, I would not stop trying to be her friend. And she was such a jerk to me. She was like a hissing and screeching cat. There was not an opportunity to be mean to me that she missed. She made fun of me. She scowled at me. She made up nicknames for me. And I was so, I don't know, puzzled, intrigued, unflappable.
Sweet.
Because,
Naive.
and sweet and naive. And yeah. And I was having a grand old time. A lot of people wanted to be my friend all of a sudden. So why the fuck did this bitch not? And I was like, right? Yeah. And I would, if I could go back in time with the lessons I have now, the second she was a piece of shit to me, I would have been like, cool, fuck off forever, bye-bye.
I know.
But I didn't.
Nope.
I did. And I literally did that for 2.5 or 3 years.
Baby.
Yeah. I did that for like longer. At least 2.5 years.
Wow.
At least 2.5 years. Because it was somewhere in the middle of junior year that she realized when she didn't have anyone else, this fucking chump was here just waiting. With a big heart and 2 ears and 2 shoulders and open arms. And all of a sudden, I became valuable because she needed me in that moment. We started to get close once she finally needed me, and she actually would not have called me her best friend. She would have called my grade school frenemy her best friend. Because the two of them were thick as thieves, but of course when she wasn't around, I was the old standby.
God, I hate it. I'm so sorry.
Right?
I'm not
so
gonna say sorry.
There was like triangulation
with
like 2 girls who treated me really shittily at certain points. At certain points.
Fuck them. I want to go back in time and just open hand slap people like that. Like we're not gonna have any bruising here, but like someone needs to fucking hit you in the face.
Yes. And just to quickly infuse a little happiness into it, I never got any of that messaging from Gabby. We're a lot of friends, but I'm going to focus on her because she's just the shit. I mean, she always knew her worth. She always had a confidence that was not at all, it didn't flag if people didn't like what she was serving up. And she was a big fucking weirdo. A lot of people thought she was a big weirdo. I thought she was the shit. And of course, there were popular kids who were like, ugh, that weirdo. And it never bothered her.
That's the secret to everything. That's the secret to literally everything.
Everything.
Is that like, whatever your business is, whatever you're weird, whatever you're crazy, like all of it is the value. That's the value. And and there are other people who will value that and find you attractive and want to be your friend, who it's better that people opt the fuck out of your life. It's better that people are like, ew, gross, cool. I know who you are now.
There's the door.
The more you are yourself, brazenly and unabashedly, the more other people who are just like you can find you. And it definitely took me too long to figure that out.
Absolutely. So, yeah, no, Gabby's messaging was always, they don't love you and think you're amazing, fuck them. But it could not stick in my waffle iron for a long time.
I love that phrase. That's amazing. I've never heard that before.
I literally made it up right now. Let's keep
it. Stick in your waffle iron. Oh.
It couldn't stick in there. I watched her and I was always enthralled by it, and I just could not I just wanted to give it a little bit of Gabby love before I went into it, because unfortunately what happened when this friend of me decided she needed me was a 15-year long very close friendship.
Oh no, I know who this is.
Yeah, you do.
I'm sorry.
Me too. And what did it look like with her needing me and deciding she'd like to hold on to me? Well, it looked like her having a boyfriend in a town that she didn't feel comfortable driving to. So I would drive her 45 minutes to an hour away to this town so she could go make out with her boyfriend while I stayed on the couch. It looked like being completely ghosted at literally any moment in time, that she just decided that she was ready to be done.
Yeah.
It looked like her not being in touch with me for literally months while I was trying to extend an olive branch. It looked like when she had a partner, forget it. It's like I was not even there.
I hate that.
Yeah. And it also looked like when there were other friends that had not been as available to her, when they were available, she would choose them over me.
Okay, so that I have. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I know that real hard. Where you're like,
Yeah.
oh, aren't we both going to be like, fuck this person? No? Mm-hmm. No?
And there were also that whole, like, cruel triangulation that happens.
Yeah. Girls are so good at that.
Girls are very good at that. And I don't know if any of us would have the self-awareness to know if we had been, like, the ouster of something like that. But I don't believe I've ever contributed to that dynamic in a bad way.
No, I mean, I like to think that I didn't, but I don't think that I have that in me.
Right.
Unless it was someone who was, like, harassing me.
Right. Yes. Yes. Unless it's someone that it's growing clear that you should stay away from.
Right. Yeah,
right.
I know. I'm not an ostracizer. It rips my guts out to think about people feeling lonely and sad.
Yeah.
Even if I hate them.
Right. So the first triangulation happened with her and my original frenemy, who I had known since I was like 4 years old. And all of a sudden, these two people who have been not very nice to me are like inseparable best friends. And I'm like, well, oh God, that's obnoxious. And, you know, the frenemy who I was a little closer with in high school, she would ditch me for the other one. And it's like, okay, great. But then, as my friendship with the big one went on into adulthood, there were many other weird fucking triangulations. I would have friends, and she would then decide that she would like to be closer with them than she was with me. And there would be, like, whispery, clicky elements to them being together. Mm-hmm. Also kind of sapphic overtones of them being together. Which is a little odd. I'm pretty sure she slept with or hooked up with at least one, if not two, of my close friends. And she just...
that's so many layers.
It's a lot of layers. But the thing is, I don't even think that the desire to glom onto them came from a romantic or sexual attraction. I think the romantic or sexual attraction was just kind of a little side piece of something to play with, as opposed to the reason to try and get closer to someone. I feel like the reasons to get closer. It
sounds like a power thing to me.
Yeah. Very much so. Very much so. And she would do that to people that I was friends with, even though I called her my best friend. Why wasn't it Gabby? Well, because Gabby had been in Los Angeles. She had been across the country for a very, very, very long time. And this girl was at times my roommate. Mm-hmm. She was at times my coworker. She was at times my neighbor. Like, there was just a proximity there that, and the constant need for me, despite the inability to be there for literally any of my needs. Mm-hmm. Ever. I remember once she ghosted me while I was going through a particularly really, really rough time, and it fucked me up so badly. And I remember telling her about it when she, like, we were living together. We were literally living together at that moment in time. Right. And she just, like, she totally avoided me. She wouldn't seek me out. She wouldn't answer my texts.
God.
This was for like a fucking month, at least. And finally, when I saw her in the hallway, just going up to her room, I was like, hey, what the actual fuck? And I cried, and she looked at me with just, like, no emotion in her eyes at all. And when I was like, what is happening? Like, what are you doing right now? And she was like, I don't know. I just wanted to be alone. And I'm like, that's so fucked up.
But also, so if that's what you wanted, you should have told me.
Yes.
I think, like we said, there's no rule, there's no playbook you know how to break up with a sexual partner. You know how to break up with a romantic partner. We don't know how to break up with people platonically, but that's no reason to disappear and treat somebody like shit. And then be like, oh, who cares? I just needed some space. Like,
yeah, yep. And
what a child. That's such a horribly, like,
so
atrophied sense of self.
Yeah. And, of course, any time that she was in a complete life crisis, which she constantly was, I was always there. I was always there in every aspect. I was there physically. I would put down whatever I was working on, either, tangibly or energetically. I would dismiss my own life in order to go help be there to listen to her have the same problems and catharses over and over and over. I mean, it was just so toxic for so long, and the thought of, do I deserve this, didn't even come into my consciousness.
Oh, baby.
Until she ghosted me for so long and would not return any of my methods of communication when I was trying to tell her that my father was dying.
I remember.
And she never responded.
Fuck that dipshit.
It was so bad. And that was, I mean, honestly, I started feeling, that's not when I realized what I deserved. When I realized that I deserved something better than anything that she could or would ever give me was after she initially ghosted me when I told her about my father. She had been acting really, really, really weird with me, and it was impacting our work hierarchy, and I literally had to get HR involved, and I think what she was trying to do was, like, punish me for that.
Okay.
And she, I sobbed for like 9 different reasons for a couple of weeks, and then I was like, oh, who are you crying about right now? Are you crying about the person that you have made in your mind to be your ride or die? Or are you crying about the person who has shown you how she values you for the last 15 years of your life?
Right.
And you have closed your eyes at every juncture. You've chosen to ignore what has been so obvious to literally anyone else.
But it doesn't make the grief less real.
No. No, and I grieved and have been grieving for a long time.
Oh, honey, and that was 2 things in one that were such a loss.
Yeah. Yes. Although I will say that despite the fact that both horrible things were happening at once, losing my dad, and as fucked up as so much of my life with my dad was, the majority of my life with my dad was shit. The last third was pretty okay. Even realizing how awful it was to lose my father, and then feeling the loss of her, I was like, oh, she does not deserve an ounce of the grief that I could otherwise give her.
Wow.
Because I'm grieving a man who was an absolute monster for 2/3 of my life, and for you to make that pale in comparison to you, goodbye.
Yep.
Yeah. And so really, I mean, it took me being 30 fucking years old to realize, wow, I never deserved any of that.
No,
I tried really hard to be a good friend, and the one moment that I actually stood my ground, that's really what it was. It was the one time I ever said, I am worth more than this. She could not deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
She could not deal with it. And I was, I wasn't doing anything more than involving another entity to say, hey, how can we help work out this dynamic?
Yeah, a mediator.
Because it's sticky. Yes, it was meant to be a mediation so that I could do my job. And just me not kowtowing to her every fucking time. Yeah, I think ultimately what she was trying to do to me was to punish me for not kowtowing. But it took me a long, long time to learn that. A very long time. And it's a hard one and difficult lesson. And it's very, very hard to be a person who, like when I was reading you those entries about my first horrible boyfriend, and when I was telling him things like, hey, I have love in my life, I have my friends are my everything, I felt that way. I felt that way for a really long time. And I felt that way about people who would have thought of me the same, and I felt that way about people who would not have. And the people who would not have fell away one by one as time passed.
Yeah.
And the ways in which they fell away were very, very painful, and I did not understand them at the time. I don't think I really understood it until it happened with her 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And like, it's a rough one. It's a rough one, but but that was the agreement that so many of my friendships started out on. Oh, are you a tough personality? Let me be there for literally anything you need. Mm-hmm. Until you see value in me. Until you see that I'm worth it.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. No, I was the girl you could call at 3:00 in the morning. I was the person who would, like, do mediation if you had broken up with your boyfriend 1,000 times and this was the 1,001st. I would fucking call Kristen's stupid boyfriend Tommy and be like, she really cares about you. And I'd be like, Kristen, Tommy really cares about you.
Oh, God. Barf.
Oh, and that was the closest I ever was to that girl. Like, I liked her so much. And we still, we're still Facebook friends and stuff. Mm-hmm. But when you look back on the people who are like, those were my tight buddies. These are the people who I called all the time. These are the people who I knew would sit next to me on the fucking field trip. She was mostly in that spot when she was with Tommy and when I was trying to smooth things over with Tommy.
Sure. Right. Once you were of use. And that's all you were.
She definitely didn't. That wasn't a conscious thing. I've definitely been consciously used by people and looked back and been like, wow, am I a rube? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
It was more, again, like, I really do believe in teaching people how to treat you. I showed up and I was like, I can do this. I have this big, soft, squishy heart, and I know how to talk to stubborn boys.
Yep.
And I can broker this fucking peace treaty again and again and again and again, so why would you let go of me? Yep. I was good at that. Still good at it.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yes,
exhausting.
I choose to do that much, much less. I've gone back so far the other way that sometimes I feel I'm a little withholding. And because I never withheld. I never withheld. I always just gave 1,000% all the time to people who did not appreciate it. At all.
So, I don't even know that I have a really good specific story that even parallels this heartbreak for you.
Oh.
But I will say...
it's kind of up there, isn't it?
No, it's okay. It's okay. And it's good that it's such a huge part of who you were when I met you and such a huge part of who you have become.
Oh my God, thank you. Wow.
And I didn't know what was happening when I met you. And I was kind of like, what's up? Like, why do you care about this girl so much? She sucks. I only hung out with her like 4 times. And I was like,
God bless.
She's real bonkers. But I have friends like that too, where I'm like, look at my crazy awesome friend. And people are like, oh, she's really loud and possibly unstable.
Oh no.
And is she humping your husband? Like when I first started doing burlesque, and I didn't understand what it meant to me, but I just knew I had to have it, and also it made me cry, and there were all of these feelings, and I was like, I can do this, and I'm scared, and I gotta do this, and I'm just, you know, world famous Bob, who I talk about in my
TED Talk,
TEDx talk, and who I adore. She took me on and did coaching with me a little bit when I first started. She wanted me to take a permanent marker onto a dry erase board, which right there fucking makes my urethra.
I just had a little twitch.
Yeah, it hurts. But what she wanted me to do was decide 5 things that were categories that I needed to work on, and then every day commit to doing one thing inside each of those categories. And she said self-care has to be one of them. And I gotta tell you, I think I had heard the term before, but I was like, I don't understand what that means, really. Mm-hmm. And she was like, well, let's dive into this, and it's about you putting yourself first. And I was like, I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
And it was so bad that she gave me a deadline. She was like, I need you to pick your 5 categories. Self-care has to be one of them. And so I was like, well, housekeeping. Like, I want to do something nice for my home every day. I want to do whatever I want to work on burlesque every day. I want to do something that's going to further my opportunities in this. And I put off making this not vision board, but like daily dry erase board for till the day that she was like, I'm going to follow up with you. Yeah, that was it. And she called, and we were out of town for something, because I remember I was in a hotel room talking to her, and I was like, it didn't happen. And she was like, well, what if I give you another day? And I was like, well, we're going home tomorrow, and then I have to do this, and I have to do that. And she was like, this is for you.
Yeah.
And I think you can do this. And it's not up to me, but like, if you can do this and talk to me tomorrow, I think you'll be happy about it. And I stayed up until like 4 o'clock in the morning the next day, and I did it.
Just deciding these 5 things.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they were hard. And just even the validation of like, maybe in 5 things I need to get done today, which, as we've talked about, especially in this climate, doing 5 things in a day to check off a list is a lot.
Ooh, impossible. And at that point, your ADHD was untreated. So there's also that.
That is also true. That was the symbolic thing. Like, what if there's a world in which I put myself before other people? What if there's a world in which I don't let other people's needs dictate how I live my daily life?
Whoa. Game changer.
What if I deserve a day off? What if I deserve to turn my phone off and not return people's phone calls because I need that kind of self-care? And so that, for me, not only changed how I took care of myself, but I shed people after that. I There were people who I was in that role where I had to be the caretaker. That was part of my identity.
Yeah,
For a really,
yes.
really,
Yeah,
really long
same.
time.
Same.
And after my dad passed away and then after my mom passed away, I lost friends because I could barely scrape myself off the couch, let alone handle whatever your dumb anxiety bullshit was that you...
Oh, that makes me very angry.
But it made me happy before then.
Yeah.
I wanted to be that person because it made me feel needed. And then all of a sudden, I needed other people to care for me.
And they couldn't fucking do it.
Because they weren't equipped. I didn't I had people in my life who were like that, but the people who weren't were gone really, 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 really fast.
Of course. Of course, right. They're not even built for it. Yeah.
No, and I think that's true. I think that there are people who your capacity can change, but you have to want it to change. Mm-hmm. And then there's people like my dad who like had very limited capacity for anything.
Yeah.
I mean, empathy surely, and wanting to care for someone, but the ability to care for oneself and for
a sandwich.
Human being. Right. Put the egg salad in the fridge, Alan. It's right there. The fridge is right there.
Oh, Alan.
I just nodded on myself a little bit.
I will say that a number of friendships combusted before her. She was sort of like, she was the boss level. She was the boss level. But the first time I ever lost a friend, I lost 2 at a time, and it was fucking devastating. It was devastating. I had a breakup. Dave and I were broken up, and as you recall, Dave was part of a very small circle of friends. Mm-hmm. It was Dave and I and 2 other guys. And one of them had sort of gone rogue anyway. So it was really... Yeah. Well, he found his purpose in college. I was so proud of him.
Purpose.
Yeah. And, but, you know, like, we were a very tight friend unit. And, honestly, us getting together fucked that unit up, for sure.
Sure.
Lots of weird feelings being contended with there. Us being together, but then when we broke up, we wanted to stay friends because we're fucking children, you know, naive, very naive, and however he decided he needed to cope with it, he and the other friend of mine kind of like turned against me very viciously. Gross. And suddenly, and I did not see it coming at all. Did I give them more than they gave me? As a friend? Almost certainly. Perhaps as a girlfriend too, I don't know. That's murkier. But like, yeah. Yes. All of my friendships were about service. All of them. Mm-hmm. And being there, and being the cool girl, and and you know, being the emotional repository.
Fuck the dumping ground.
The dumping ground.
Oh,
absolutely.
Oh God, absolutely. Your arms can only get so full.
Mm-hmm. That was less the case with my ex, and more the case with the other. But at the time, and really all that time, up until this happened with her, the question was like, what did I do? How did I make this happen? And a lot of it, I felt so much sadness and guilt. Until it happened with her, and I could see the parallels, and I was like, oh, I did not deserve to ever be treated like that from her. It's not mine. Maybe this one wasn't mine either. And so it really helped put that kind of shit in perspective for me. A lot. And stuff that had always just hurt. Stuff that had always just been a sadness in my life. I had friends from college who who there were who for whom I was also like the support and the buffoon, and it had extra shitty meaning because it was actors, right?
Yep.
And it was pretty actors who saw me as the fat girl, and I was not, and I was never around actors before that. I was around forensics weirdos, and I loved them, and I was around drama club kids who are a little different. But when I was around more shark-like young adults looking to be competitive, I was underestimated, honestly. And I was a safe person to befriend because I would never be the person that they lost a role to, because here I am, just the fat buffoon on the side. What do I know? I'm never going to have a real career anyway. And then I started having one. And people who were once not intimidated by me, and people for whom I was once just like, oh, that sweet girl who's here to, support me. Real colors came out very quickly. And it was ugly. It was very ugly. And again, more feelings of, what the fuck have I done? How did I mismanage this? How did I not take the right temperature? What did I do to make this person so angry? But losing my biggest frenemy made me realize, hey, you've been tolerating shitty behavior from a lot of shitty people for way longer than you ever should have.
That's such a big thing to realize.
And every single one of them, I can look to an inciting incident when I absolutely could have decided, oh no, you are a whole mess. I'm going to go focus my attention elsewhere.
Yeah.
For almost all of them. And that's not the person I was. And it's really not the person I am anymore. Which is mostly good and a little sad. I think a little sad that that level of openness and naivete was killed so fully.
This reminds me yes. But you haven't lost the kernel of that was good. That's absolutely still alive in you. You just don't let people treat you like shit anymore. And the naivete is, I don't think that that's being like Anne Frank, big-eyed, hopeful. I think that is trusting in a bunch of fucking lies that we're taught. I think that you just figured it out. You wised up. We grew up.
And now I have safe places to put my love with people who don't.
Like, I mean, if I may, why would you value...
Always me.
What were the words that you just said? Naivete and what?
I forget what the other one was. Gullible? Being gullible?
No, because you sounded like you valued them. You lost something. You said, I lost that naive. Maybe you said vulnerability. Openness. Okay. You have not lost that openness. You have not done that at all. I do this sometimes, and I'm not maybe projecting on you, but sometimes we romanticize the defense mechanisms that keep us safe.
Oh, hello. Yes, praise report, please.
It feels so good to crawl into that hole.
Oh,
you didn't lose that.
Oh, there's a lot. Yes, 1,000%. We romanticize those coping mechanisms that were really fucking fucked up. I don't actually miss that. That was so exhausting. Yes. That was so exhausting.
And it's possible to idealize that stuff, just like my ideas about virginity and etc. Like when you're like, oh, this is the thing that makes me valuable. So
I'm the greatest friend you will ever find.
Exactly, and I needed that too.
I'm the most devoted friend you will ever find. Yeah.
Ooh. Girl, look at this.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Holy shit! Yeah, that's very true. I knew I couldn't be so many things, but I knew nobody had like tried me out as a friend for so long, and nobody knew
I can't
what
be
I could
all of
bring to
those
the
things, but
table.
look at these things that I'm really good at, and can't I give them to you, and won't you love me forever if I do?
All of them,
Oh,
limitlessly.
God. Yeah. Yeah, and it turns out that you can actually care for yourself and value yourself and attract people, whether it's platonically or otherwise, and be a whole person without needing to scoop other people inside of you.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And you can help be part of what keeps somebody safe, but you're not responsible for somebody else's well-being.
And that shift is very... I mean, I feel it profoundly. First of all, I do have a wonderful little handful of friends who have been with me for a very long time, who I consider some of my best friends. And I have a lot of people I've known for a long time that I really like, who are like friends and acquaintances. And then I have some of my greatest friends I have ever known that I've made in adulthood, that I've made closer to 30 than not. And while the nostalgic romantic part of me wishes that everybody could be a ride or die since 3rd grade, I'm really glad that I learned a lesson that allowed me to have such wonderful, healthy friendships now.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you...
Present company included.
And think about all of the amazing people that you attract now. Like, think about the beautiful people who are not only in your life, but like every day when you pop up on social media or do a project, back when we did projects. But no, I mean
remember those? Remember doing things?
I mean that though. Like the people who you have a better bullshit detector and you attract incredibly creative and caring and genuine people. That for me, if I was going to say anything on this topic, was that I used to give not genuine people the benefit of the doubt over and over and over again. I'd be like, maybe they just need to come out of their shell. Maybe they just need to blah, 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 blah. No.
Right.
If you're plastic and you can't relate to me the way I need to be related to them, we're not meant to be in. It's not up to me to fix that.
Absolutely.
I shouldn't like try to be your friend and then draw out that special part of you or like coddle you and nurture you and like, no, until finally you can blossom as a person. That's not my job.
Bitch, I'm 41.
I got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah. Yes. And like my first impulse is like, I never had bad shit to say about anyone. So like, everyone's beautiful. No, because if me and this person were to meet one of those people that I shucked off tomorrow on the street, like as if we had never known each other, if I were to meet them in their personality and observe them for 5 minutes, I would have been like, okay, moving on. Like, nothing to see here.
Well, I mean, our view of red flags was distorted because with our parents, it was nothing but red flags all the time.
And of course that's love. Of course this is something to draw my attention to, as opposed to, now I see that kind of behavior and I'm like,
well, you can't run away from it when it's
cross the street.
When it's in your home, you can't run away from it. It's there, so you have to figure out how to incorporate it into your life in a way that makes sense. So of course you scoop that up.
Yeah.
But,
oh my God, this is such a good in-depth look.
I'm fucking gutted. I love you.
I love you too. Thank you for holding space for all of that. In Lillian and I talking about this, like I knew I had a lot of baggage to bring to it, and like I felt badly. Like I like us telling our fun stories. But I also feel like we both feel like nobody talks about how fucked friendships can be.
For sure.
I just think there's not nearly enough conversation about it. And so as much as this is like...
It's like the Brene Brown shame thing. Like, we don't like to talk about shame. We always think that if a friendship is gone, that at least a part of it was our fault. And sometimes...
Yeah, that we fucked it up, that we ruined something beautiful.
I mean, narcissists
and pure.
don't think that, but still, you know. The majority of us at least take a look inward and go, God, what could I have done to save that? And how did this... Even if you don't think it's your fault, you're like, how did this get so bad? And I didn't know.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't help that I'm pretty sure most of the things that have combusted on me were absolutely that empath narcissist dynamic, where I was absolutely the one doing all of the feeling and they were just doing all of the taking.
Ah!
So I don't think there's any reflection of, oh, that was so sad. Wouldn't it be so nice? But on the other hand, maybe that's God's end because I don't want them back in my life. No.
Good for you.
If I'm just trash to you and you don't want to think about me anymore, great. Goodbye. See ya.
So people have said to me in the past, especially after my TED Talk came out, when I've talked about the struggles that I had with my identity and my body as a kid, so many people who I was not even super close with and some who I was close with, even up through high school, have reached out to me and were like, I never knew that you felt that way about yourself. You'd never seemed that way. It didn't look like that. It didn't look like that to me. And I was like, I'm an actor.
Yes.
I'm a master thespian.
Same thing with people not knowing that there were problems at home for you.
Right. But that's how I feel when I hear you tell these stories, because you have always been this fully formed, like, vibrantly self-actualizing person for as long as I have known you. From the second that I met you, I was like, you have so much good and so much wisdom and, like, an incredible aura and, like, a beautiful power to you. And that has always been my experience of you.
Thank you. That's always been mine of you. I love keeping you close.
Oh, thank you. But you did that. You did that. You made those decisions and you figured things out yourself and you fucking did that. So you should be proud of yourself.
Thanks, Beanie. I am.
I know you are.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's nice to say it.
and it's nice to hear it. It's nice to hear it reflected back to me because obviously I don't talk about this a lot.
Well, sometimes it's worth talking about it and sometimes it's not.
Right.
Like, if we all processed everything all day, every day, we would get even less done than we're already getting done, right? So.
And like, I already come close enough to that. Man, like, I'm already a Cancer. The deck is stacked against me. So for me to really just flop down face first in it is unnecessary.
Don't do it face first. Go on your back and make a poop angel.
Oh my god.
Don't get it in your mouth.
No. It tastes like regret.
All right, let's sign off. I love you.
I love you too. You're the best one.
You're the best one.
Fuck buddies. I'm sorry there were not as many ridiculous laughs in this one, but again.
Oh, I think we front loaded that for sure.
We did. Like... Yes, that's right. There was so much spider cast.
Oh my god, I feel like. Oh, I kept thinking, you're an orb weaver. Whatever that Dreamweaver song is.
Orb weaver.
Yeah, that's how it goes. Is that Hall & Oates?
No.
It's one of those,
I forget who does Dreamweaver, but I think it might even be one of those sort of like 1 or 2 hit wonders.
Regardless, that's what I kept thinking of.
How have we... Ideas on ideas on ideas.
Okay.
I'm going to make you that entire parody, and it's going to be about all its chittering and its scuttling and all those legs. Nope. Shut it down.